Hi, all.
Hello.
We're waiting for our librarian to pop up. She just texted or emailed me just a few moments ago that she's setting up, so she'll be here in just a minute.
This is being recorded?
Yeah, it's being recorded. Just so we have reference, to go back to, or in case somebody can't make it today because of work or whatever, and at least we have something that people can look at, because this is a lecture, like a presentation she's gonna give. I just had I don't know if you heard my kid. She's just like, knock, knock, knock on the door, like right as soon as I, that's
Tell her
what.
to come in.
Oh, no, I'll let her. She will like take over the entire room. So, how have you guys been? How are you guys doing?
Crappy.
Yeah.
What do you mean crappy?
I'm back to work now.
Oh, you're back to work now?
Yeah, so that's good.
I was just told I'm going to be working from home till July,
Okay.
so I'm not very happy.
Oh. Working from home, but at least you still have, work to do, right? Is it?
Yeah.
Is it the same? Are you gonna get the same pay and everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
It's just being cooped up.
Yeah, I'm not a homebody.
There's no password.
This is week 13, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. She's saying that there's a password, but I know that there's not a password. I'm gonna try to find. There should not be a password. Oh, there's not a password. Let me see. I have to change something here. Okay, let me save it.
Hey.
There.
Hi, Yvonne.
Oh, hi, you got it. Okay.
Yeah, it was asking for a password and it wouldn't let me proceed without putting one in. So I just stuck it and it worked. I don't know why. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it automatically set a password and I don't know why it did. Maybe it was because I did it through the Confer Now. So I had to go back and change that. So yeah.
How you doing? How's everyone doing?
I guess we're doing all right.
I'm impressed at how many students. I have a class of like 23 and I think I have maybe 8 showing up regularly.
Yeah.
And 3 of them are too stressed to do any work, but they come every week just to hang out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the same. Like it's, we have like 2 meetings a week. And so some people come to the first meeting and some people come to the second. So just so that, because some of my students are now working a lot more and can't be on the Zoom conference at the same time that we have class all the time. So
right.
Yeah.
So obviously this is going to be a little different than I usually do, but I noticed on your assignment that students were required to submit their topic proposals by March 31st. Has that happened?
Yes, they most of them have given me the topics that they want to work on.
And I'm wondering if we could, and so everybody theoretically has a topic, or some people still looking?
I think there's about 6 students who have not
Okay.
decided. So
And then are you willing to share some of those with me? Just so as we move through some of the resources, I can use relevant examples.
Sure.
I mean, I saw your list, so I know
Yeah.
the potential topics, but usually what happens I've found is like many students will gravitate towards kind of some of the same ones, or.
Yeah. I have a majority of the students have chosen pandemics and pop culture because they are interested in that. And I know I have 1 or 2 students that want to focus on like zombie apocalypse pandemic like obsession, I guess, with that.
Okay.
And so like they're doing like The Walking Dead and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then I have a larger group that is also working on researching notable outbreaks that have already occurred, like Ebola, AIDS, I think is another one. And I'm not sure yet what the specifics that anybody else in that group are working on. So. Okay.
Yeah, and let me just confirm that, and there's a method to my madness, that you are requiring all of them, no matter what topic they're using, to use a reading that you have available on the Canvas shell, plus a minimum of 3 other outside sources that support their thesis.
Yes, yeah, and that's just kind of coinciding with with how the English 100 research prompt has been made in the past. Like we've kind of used like the Readers Club articles to go into the research paper.
Yeah, and that's great.
Yeah, but we didn't do Readers Club because of this whole thing that happened.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Everything's upside down. Okay. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen.
Okay.
And Yvonne, this will make more sense to you, but I'll just let the other students know. I'm going to start with Ready, Set, Research, which, if you know from when I usually come to a class, that's what I start with.
Yes.
So let me just introduce myself. I'm looking at these names here. It's so funny because if nobody's showing their faces, I feel like we're just like the old dorks, like do none of the cool kids show their faces? A lot of my students don't. There's a face. Woo! I'm so hungry to see another face besides my husband and my kids right now that I'm just like, this is super exciting. So let me just start by introducing myself. My name is Kathleen Ennis. Yay, another face. And I just put my hair up because I was getting ready for this. I just have to say this, and my husband came out and his eyes got really big and he said, "Your hair is enormous right now. You should put it up if you're going to do Zoom." I guess I was looking very Stevie Nicks because I can't remember like the last time I brushed my hair. But I'm one of the research librarians at MJC. There are, even through the pandemic, there are 5 full-time research librarians and 4 part-time research librarians. And before I go any further, I want to make sure you all know that we are available to help you. So I'm going to try to introduce you to some of the resources and services we have that will facilitate you writing this research paper. But to me, the best resource we have are our librarians. And so if you're taking notes, I want to make sure you know that we still have research help available via chat, Monday through Thursdays from 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. and Fridays from 10 to 3. And you do not need an appointment. I'm going to show you how to get to chat right now, but you don't need an appointment. You can just, anytime during those hours, there are 2 librarians staffing chat, and we can help you with topic selection and development. We can help you find sources. We can help you cite sources. We can help you use sources. So I'm going to share my screen real quick just to make sure you guys are hip to where that stuff lives. I hope you can see I'm starting at MJC, which is a logical place to start all of this. And if you simply click on the old pile of books, you will be magically transported to the library's webpage. And what I want, we're going to be all over this webpage in the next hour, but what I want to show you right now is this link right here, because this is your key to a human being who, like I am now, I just logged out of chat before I logged on with you guys. So all over the city right now, there are librarians just sitting in their backyards and sitting in their, kitchens, waiting for you to ask for help. So all you have to do is just enter your name, your email, your W number, and what your question is. And I just really want to encourage you when you're struggling to utilize the services of research librarians. I've been doing this 21 years. I've been helping students with research papers literally for decades. And what might cause you stress and struggle is just old hat to us. Okay, so we're good at this. And again, I'm going to try to give you tips and tricks today. And for some of you, you're going to just take off and be able to do this on your own. But if you're struggling, it's important that you realize there is help available. Okay. And we're happy to help you. You can also make appointments. You don't have to make an appointment. Some people like to make appointments because then we Zoom. And I've noticed some students just really appreciate that quote unquote face-to-face contact. So you can also make an appointment. It's just not as instantaneous. So it's up to you. But that's kind of how we function, is to help you through research. And we're all real big geeks. And let me tell you, I've always loved my job. I've always loved working with students. I like it way more now because right in the other room, I'm outside because my husband practices guitar, electric guitar, like 6 hours a freaking day. And I love that person, but I am so tired of that guitar playing. So it's just like, I get to work with students. So please ask us for help. By the way, I know you're all muted, and I've done this a long time, so I'm going to kind of trip through the wires here and show you what I have to show you. But I love to have questions. So if I'm going too fast, or I say something that's unclear, or I say something that causes you to think of a question, just unmute, because I'm not looking at you. I'm trying to look at my camera so I don't look weird. So I would just appreciate if, I won't see you if you do the official hand raising thing, but if you would just unmute and say, excuse me, I will stop sharing and totally address your questions. And I love questions. So, and that goes for you too, Yvonne. If I go over something that is incorrect or that you think is especially important and you want to emphasize it to your students, just stop me. Just say, hold up, and I'll hold up, okay? Okay. So right now I'm going to take you to research guides. So you may never come to this page. This is a page I'm taking you to a guide I created called Ready, Set, Research. And it just goes through a lot of the steps of research. And some of them I don't have to go through a lot, but I did it because a lot of students, especially students who are newer to MJC, are never quite sure how research librarians can help them. Lots of students have zero experience with research librarians, or if they know we exist, they think we exist just to help them find sources, and we can definitely help you find sources. But a good research paper begins at the beginning, and finding your sources is kind of the middle part of the research paper. What you need to do in the beginning is choose a good topic and do some preliminary reading to develop strong ideas about your topic. And once you have some strong ideas developed about your topic, then you can find some sources that actually help you with those ideas. So often I notice when students come to us and say, I need help finding sources, I end up walking them way back, because I usually say, what's your topic? And what do you, so if your topic is pandemics and pop culture, my first question is going to be, what artifacts of pop culture are you using? You know, Walking Dead is a perfect example of a artifact of pop culture, right? I'm more of a reader. So I love this topic, by the way. That's if I was in your class, that's the topic I would be doing. And I love post-apocalyptic fiction. So I would be starting with like Earth Abides and moving through Stephen King's The Stand and The Postman. I mean, there's so much rich literature, right? But you'll find that librarians, even though you log on to chat to ask us a question, we end up asking you questions because we want to figure out where you are in the research process. If you're ready to find sources, we're going to kick ass and take names and help you find those sources. But you may still be in the topic development stage of your research. And if you are, we need to know that so we can help you develop your topic and then find your sources. So all of that is to say, I'm coming to research guides and I'm going to show you a research guide that I created called Ready, Set, Research. And I created it because it does kind of give you a snapshot, literally a little picture in the form of a graphic of every step of the research process, especially those steps that librarians love to help you with. So I'm not going to talk a lot about topic selection because I know most of you, according to your instructor, there's 6 of you who are hanging on. And I don't know if any of those 6 of you are here right now, but if you are, let me tell you, I feel your pain. Topic selection is such an important part of research, and it was always the part I struggled with the most. 84% of students say their biggest problem with research is just getting started. And a lot of us, myself included, are terrible procrastinators. And if we don't know how to get started with something, that is an environment that is rich for procrastination. And I'm going to be honest, I think the situation we all find ourselves in now, which is very stressful, and I'm feeling a lot of anxiety, that just makes it worse. You know, it's funny, my students in my class, I get mad at them. I love them, but I'm always like, you have literally nothing, because they're not working. And I'm like, you literally have nothing to do but the work for this class. And they are really struggling with just getting dressed every day and getting off the couch because they're so stressed. So I feel that. And I want you to know that if you're one of the 6 people who don't have a topic, it's fine to just log into chat with us and say, hey, I'm in this English 100 class and I have this paper due and I need help choosing a topic. And we'll walk you through some of these steps. So from this graphic here, the main thing I want you to focus on is personal meaning. We have your assignment, finding, trust me, I'm a librarian. I've looked at these assignments or these prompts. We can help you find 3 sources on any of these prompts. So you're not going to be at a loss to find sources. So really what you need to bring to the table is finding a topic that has personal meaning for you, which is probably why a lot of your peers were picking pandemics. Of course it has meaning for us, right? We're smack dab in the middle of one. So I just think if you can find a topic that's meaningful to you, because research can be hard. It's hard for me sometimes. I'm helping students every day, and I'll tell you, I do a lot of trial and error searching of databases, trying to find sources sometimes. And I've got 2 decades under my belt. So what keeps you going is really having a genuine interest, you know? So if the first place you look, you come up empty-handed, you're gonna keep going because it's like, damn it, I really wanna figure this out. So we're going to be really pushing you to examine that list and really ask yourself, which one has the most meaning for me, right? To me, the real first step was preliminary reading. And I cannot emphasize this enough. So many students trying to do the right thing. Once they have their topic, they're like, okay, I have this topic and now I need to find, and I have a source I've picked from Canvas and now I need to find 3 sources on it, right? So if you come to me on chat, I guess you wouldn't literally come to me, but if you come to me on chat and say, hey, I'm writing a paper on pandemics, and I need to kind of compare and contrast some past pandemics, the first thing I'm going to say is, what pandemics, you know? Or if you say, I'm looking at pandemics and pop culture, I'm going to ask, do you have something in mind, right? So it's great if it's Walking Dead, but you may not. It may, you know, maybe a list of movies, right? What we're trying to do is to get you to develop your ideas. So you come to the table with this kind of broad topic, but preliminary reading allows you to do two really important things at this point. One is to evaluate your topic, to go out onto just Google. And this is what the crazy thing I'm going to suggest is, forget about finding academically credible sources right now. That comes later. Right now, we need to find meaningful ideas that we want to talk about for 2,000 words or however many words your essay is. So I will start my research usually by looking, going out on Google, you know, even if it's looking at Wikipedia articles, if it's looking at YouTube videos, wherever I can start populating ideas, because I want to make sure this topic really is going to hold my attention. I work with a lot of students who will kind of half-ass choose a topic because they're under the gun. They're like, I don't know how to choose a topic, so, you know, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, boom, I'm picking this one. And then when they start doing the reading, they're like, you know what, this topic blows. and they're kind of tied to the tracks because it's like, hey, it's due tomorrow. So I want you to prevent that. So I always tell students, when you think it's kind of like dating, like, I think she's cute and nice, but let's like go out and kind of like have a conversation and have some coffee and take a walk and let me kind of vet this, so to speak. It's how I feel about topics. So, you know, I might go out and just to make sure it's going to hold my attention. And if you can see this second bulleted line right here, is the reading what you expected? Is the reading relevant and engaging? You may only be finding 3 sources, but I guarantee you're going to have to read those sources again and again and again to really understand them, to understand how they support your ideas. So you want to make sure that the reading you're doing is relevant and engaging, and that there are sources out there. The other thing you want to do is maybe start refining your topic, and that might mean, if you're choosing a past pandemic or 2, you might want to look at a bunch of them to kind of figure out the 2 that you think are the, you know, maybe 2 or 3 you want to go over in your paper for body paragraphs. There's probably going to be a bunch of them out there. Which ones are appealing to you? Which ones do you read about maybe just on Wikipedia and say, wow, I see some real connection between what happened there and what's happening here? Or maybe it's like, wow, that's a totally different thing that's happening here. You know, either way, whether it's very similar or very different, that starts giving you something to write about. I can really write about the differences here. I can really write about the similarities. But I wouldn't pick blindly my pandemic, my past epidemic. It may be when you start looking at, for those of you looking at zombies, I love zombie literature, by the way. You may start with Walking Dead, and as you learn more about post-apocalyptic literature, especially that literature that involves zombies, you might find a couple of other pieces, primary sources, artifacts, you know, films, graphic novels that you can bring into it too. You know, you don't know that until you start. And so preliminary reading is a way that you can just, and I'm going to just show you, you know, I'll do something simple like going out to Google. And I'm really doing this because I don't know a lot about pandemics. I just got on a big Facebook fight with somebody, I'm going to be honest, because somebody was like, you know, well, what about, I don't know what it was. It was some pandemic that apparently happened when Obama was president. And I'm like, dude, I don't even you know, they didn't cancel the MLB. They didn't cancel baseball. I wasn't stuck in my house. So I don't know where I was, but I have a vague memory of SARS and stuff, but nothing serious. So let me be clear. I just did a Google search for list of pandemics, and I am not suggesting, I am not suggesting that these are credible sources. All I'm trying to do right now is get some ideas, right? I want to look at, you know, the history of pandemics. I like pictures. I picked this one just because it said infographic. I'm a really visual learner, so a lot of ways that I get ideas is through pictures. You may not be that way, it's okay. But, you know, this gives me at least some ideas. So it's beyond Ebola, right? It gives me an idea. And again, right now I'm just trying to refine. And if I took one of these, like maybe I took, you know, the Spanish flu, then I could even just kind of riff on that and say, okay, I spelled flu wrong. You gotta love Google. It doesn't care. It's like, you meant flu. You know, I may just want to then get a little deeper into one or two that look interesting. Again, just developing my ideas, not trying to find my sources right now. For me, if I was looking at past epidemics, this is just me. And Yvonne, you may have something to contribute here. But anytime I'm looking at what we're in now compared to the past, I start thinking compare and contrast, right? I want to see how some of these pandemics were similar, see how they're different. Because I'm already, and this is a benefit of working with a librarian, I'll tell you, going into this, I'm already thinking about body paragraphs. I might want to take, for instance, when I learn, and this is where, you know, when you go to Wikipedia, again, never, ever would I give Yvonne, you know, your professor, Wikipedia article on a works cited list. I would be very embarrassed to do that. But I definitely, oh God, there's all kinds of stuff. But I definitely don't feel afraid to learn a little bit more about pandemics. I don't know a lot about them, right? So, so right away here, just looking at the table of contents, I can see that, oh, pandemics have different stages. We have ways to manage pandemics. We have economic consequences of pandemics, right? We have death tolls. To me, those are characteristics that I'm already thinking like, maybe these are some elements I can compare and contrast, right? So that's just how, to me, preliminary reading works. And the same thing, I'm just doing a Google search, would be, again, a few of you come into this knowing, okay, I want to do Walking Dead. There's a bee on me, sorry. Speaking of Walking Dead. You know, this might just give you a list of maybe some things you haven't thought of before. There's actually a lot of really good zombie literature and zombie pop culture out there. So again, it might be interesting to look at some of the similarities and differences between those. So that's my little lesson on preliminary reading. And what I'm trying to do for you in telling you to do this, and if you chat with me and walking you through this, is I'm trying to get you guys to start thinking about body paragraphs, because that's how sources are used. Your sources should, the sources you ultimately use, that your professors want you to use, these academically credible sources, they should support your ideas, right? So my theory is you get your ideas wherever you're comfortable. Me, I'm really comfortable on Wikipedia and YouTube because I hang out there a lot when I'm not at work. I'm going to develop my ideas, and then I'm going to go find the best possible academically credible sources out there to support those ideas. And I'm going to be honest, searching our databases, which I'm going to show you, databases aren't as easy to search as Google by a long shot, dudes. So So my trial and error searching, my generating ideas searching is just so much easier to do on Google. And then I can go in for the kill. And it may be with popular culture, sorry, outside noise, with the popular culture artifacts. I'm just going to tell you right now, you're probably, I don't know how much luck you're going to have searching a database for Walking Dead, right? I mean, you can find basic information about Walking Dead and you know, plot and storyline and ratings and such. But what might be more interesting for all of you looking at popular culture is look at some of the themes, some of the storylines that are like, you know, apparent in Walking Dead, and look at those in terms of what we're living through now. Like, you know, anyway, this is preliminary reading, and it's really important, and it's how I always tell people to start. So let me just tell you, and it's all librarians will do this. If you come to us and say, I need 3 sources about pandemics and pop culture, we're probably going to ask you, well, what do you want to say about pandemics and pop culture, so we can find you the right sources. And if you don't know what you want to say yet, we'll guide you back to preliminary reading. Just know that there are lots of different types of sources out there. So right away, I'm telling you, I'm free and easy with the Wikipedia and the cheesy YouTube videos in the beginning, because I'm not picky. I'll go anywhere to start developing my ideas. But when you're information literate, you need to realize, which is what we're all aiming for here, that there are different types of information, and they vary wildly in quality. And when you are communicating in an academic environment, it's really important to use good, credible sources. It's one of the benefits right now of the pandemic, if you can find a benefit. I think you're all probably aware, if you're on social media, we're just being bombarded, right? How many of us get messages like, hey, I'm getting, oh my God, I'm getting so many crazy videos, like conspiracy videos from like my brother who's like, do you know what's really happening? And he just like sends me these like crazy ass, excuse my language, like YouTube videos. And, you know, we get so much conflicting information. I don't know if you remember a few weeks ago, it was going around that if you just like drink a lot of fluids, the virus will go down in your stomach, and then your stomach acid will kill it. And it was like, well, if that was the case, dude, viruses wouldn't be a problem. Like, you'd go to the doctor and they'd just say, hey, drink a bunch of tea. But the stuff is going around. And so I think how you guys can contextualize this is recognize that when you're getting all this information about what you should and should not do to protect yourself and what's happening, you know, hopefully you're doing a little bit of judgment, like, this is coming from my conspiracy theory brother Michael, this is coming from the California Department of Public Health. You know, which one do I want to use to base my decisions? And that's kind of, I mean, that's what research is. It's making sure that once you have ideas that you want to explore, that you go to the best possible sources, you know, to explore those ideas, so you know you're getting good information. And so basically, popular sources are sources that are very entertaining and easy to read and exist to make a profit. Those are just fine if you are doing research and trying to generate ideas. But once it comes to creating an academic bibliography or making a decision like, should I wear a face mask and, you know, will gloves keep me safe? You want to find better sources, more credible sources, sources that come from authoritative authors. So substantive just comes from the word substantial, and basically that is fact-checked information that is aimed at an audience like us, and I consider us a non-expert audience, whereas scholarly sources are aimed at an expert audience. So it's the difference between reading an article about a pandemic that's written by a doctor for another doctor, for a doctor who's an expert in infectious diseases, or reading an article written by a doctor for librarians and college students, right? They're going to use different language. They're going to make more of an effort to simplify concepts and speak to us in a way that we can understand. So substantive sources are still good and factual. They're just not super hard to read. Like magazines and newspapers are a really good example, and a lot of high quality websites like government websites and such. And then scholarly sources are usually peer reviewed journal articles. And Yvonne, they're not required to find any scholarly peer reviewed research, right? None of their sources has to be peer reviewed.
Not required, but
Okay.
I'm encouraging.
I'll show you some.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're a little harder to read.
Yeah.
You can see here scaffolding, what I've been talking to you about, this concept of just start where you're at. Start with reading a few Wikipedia articles and a couple fun lists of famous pandemics in world history. And then you move as you develop your ideas, you move towards more and more scholarly sources. And the idea behind that is just, scholarly sources are like calculus, let's just say, where popular websites like Wikipedia are like addition. So you want to start with the simple sources and build upon your knowledge. And you're not ready to read, I'm sure not ready to read scientific information right now on, highly scientific articles on pandemics. Though I have to say I'm getting better. I bet we all are, right? We're all starting to develop a vocabulary. It's interesting. What I'm trying to aim you for with this preliminary reading is coming up with an outline. Research shows, I have this graphic not here, I have it in my class, but research shows that students who come up with outlines do better on papers and can create more word count. I just had a research question today, a chat today from a student in Adrian Peake's English 101 class. And her question was this. She said, how do I use my sources in my paper? And I said, hi, what specifically do you mean? And she's like, I don't know how to write a paper. And I've got all these sources on pandemics, by the way. She was doing the psychological aspects of pandemics. And she's like, and I found all these sources, but I don't know where they fit in my paper. I don't know how to organize it. And so we worked on what this graphic you see in front of you, we worked on coming up with just some simple research questions. Like, what is a pandemic? And are there different types of pandemics? And why are they such an important issue? And what is the history of worldwide pandemics? And, what causes them? And the heart of her paper was, what are the psychological effects? And so what I did was I sent her out preliminary reading, and she came up with a lot of psychological effects: depression, anxiety, scapegoating, loneliness, fear, or all these psychological effects. And I basically said, pick 2 to 5 of them and write a little bit about each one, and that allowed us to kind of give her a structure of body paragraphs. And it also allowed her to find better sources. Like, if you're going to be writing about anxiety and how being in quarantine and pandemics cause anxiety, let's go search the database for pandemics anxiety or quarantine anxiety. And then we can find a source that nails your idea, and then when you're talking about depression, we can say, okay, now let's go find an article on quarantine and depression. So it helps not only you organize your paper before you start writing it, thinking like, this is how I'm going to intro it. Here are going to be my body paragraphs, right? But it also helps you find really relevant sources, because you know the kinds of sources you need because your ideas are laid out, right? I'm going to compare and contrast a couple pandemics, and I'm going to look at how they were managed, how they started, how they were managed, how many people died, public response, and economic aspects. I just kind of pulled those out of my ass. You can do whatever you want, but that's what I'm looking for, because then it helps me as a researcher find specific articles: pandemics, economic aspects, pandemics, fatalities, pandemics, public health management. Okay. And that's when you start finding your sources, you want that level of specificity, and you certainly want it when you are writing your papers, because you're kind of telling a story, and you want to communicate clearly and have an intro, right? And a beginning and a middle and an end. And so that middle part, those body questions are important. You might be really new at this. I can do this in a minute. Any librarian you talk to can really help you with body paragraphs and walk you through this. So this is one of those things, if you're looking at this going, what the heck? We can help you. We're always happy to help you, because as we're helping you, we're teaching you. And that's why we're professors. You know, our job is to teach you how to do this stuff, to teach you how to research. And an essential part of research is doing the background reading and starting to develop an outline for what you want to communicate within your speech or paper, and then finding the sources that build upon that. Any questions so far? Yvonne, do you have any questions, any comments? Are you guys still with me? Yeah. I imagine them all just like they turn it on and then they go play Doom or, you know, paint their toenails, but they're not here.
Yes, we are with you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I did, I know you're probably gonna go over this, but one of the means that I am going to, one of the assignments that I set up for them to do this week, which I still have to talk to them about, so, but it's already set up, is doing like a research log and using the CRAP test, which you just brought up right now.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about, because I know that, like, especially with what you said with pandemics and pop culture, like that's going to be difficult to find on databases. So
right.
So yeah.
So yes. So good. That's a perfect segue. So pretty much what I do is once I kind of have a rough outline, and outlines can change, by the way. Revising your research is a huge thing. It's a thing. And it's funny because I teach a research class, and sometimes my students will start on one thing. Like I was working with a student who was starting research on our Facebook friends, real friends, our social media friends, real friends. And we did a bunch of preliminary reading together. And by the end of our preliminary reading, her research, based on what was out there, her research had kind of changed. Her research was more the effect of social media on self-esteem and how our relationships, whether those are real friendships or kind of facile social media friendships, affect that self-esteem. And I kind of had to talk her off a ledge, because she was like, well, this isn't my topic. But the truth was, we were totally engaged in this research, and it was her topic. You know, I mean, she could still bring friendships into it, but it was like, we revised kind of her research question. You know, what is the relationship between social media use and self-esteem? We kind of revised it based on what we were finding. And that happened. So it's one of the reasons I push you all to start that preliminary reading early, so you can find your way through the topic maze and really find what's interesting to you. The CRAP test is then, once I have kind of an outline brushed out, fleshed out, let's say, then I want to start finding sources that help me address each part of that outline, right? So for instance, if I'm just jumping back here for a second, but if one of my research questions is, what are pandemics, right? And what are the brief little history of the milestones of global pandemics? I want to make sure, I don't know that. I want to make sure I find a source that I can use for that. You know, according to the Center for Disease Control, there have been X number of global pandemics in the last, millennium, whatever. It's one of the ways that research questions function, is they really show you exactly, like, I have to find a source to define this. I have to find a source that talks about how many people died. I have to find a source that talks about how the Spanish flu of 1918 was managed. And I also have to find a source that talks about how we're managing this bout of COVID-19, right? Keeps you focused. So once I have my kind of an outline fleshed out and I'm out searching for sources, basically I'm out searching for answers to these questions, that's when I need to be really careful about the types of sources. So now is when Wikipedia and Sexy Kitty 69's YouTube video on pandemics just aren't going to cut it for me. Okay, I have to find substantive or scholarly sources to make my professor happy. And so the CRAP test is an evaluative criteria that we teach you, we model to you in the library all the time. I just yelled at, I didn't yell. I just made 2 of my students very unhappy who were researching screen time and finding sources from 2009. And I'm like, if you're talking about screen time, dudes, 2009 is just kind of too old, especially for statistics. So the first element of the CRAP test is currency, and that is the date. When was this source published, right? Is the information recent enough for your topic? So if I want to write a paper that's due next week and I'm talking about death counts from COVID-19, I want to make sure I'm on Worldometer, right? Let me just show you. You've probably seen this. This is one of my this is the site I go to every single day, just to, you know, to keep up with the count. And I really like this source, by the way, because they cite all their sources where they're getting all these numbers. I'm always looking at where California is. California was 3rd, and now Michigan's overtaken us, and Louisiana will probably too. But, you know, for statistics like that, I need something super current, right? If I'm talking about how many people died in the influenza, you know, at 1918, it's okay if my source is from 2009. You know, those numbers are long since signed, sealed, and delivered. So currency just really demands that every time you're going to use a source, you look at the date and you ask yourself, is this source current enough for my topic? Is it current enough for where in my paper I want to use it? Relevancy, that goes right back to your outline. You're going to find a million articles on pandemics. But if what you're looking for is how are pandemics managed, or what role does quarantine play in pandemic management, that's a very specific type of article. And so that's where having your outline really helps you, because then you can sift through a large amount of information just to find the sources that help you tell the story you're telling, right? About zombie-based post-apocalyptic literature and why that's so attractive to us, right? So that's currency and relevancy. Authority is really simple. Who's the author? Who is telling you this information about pandemics? Do they have an advanced degree? My big complaint about Facebook right now is people are sending me these crazy ass videos, and it's like, you put somebody in scrubs and they're like, you know, this person must be telling the truth. They're wearing scrubs. You know, it's like, dude, I don't know. This could be your like brother Steve, the furniture salesman, who's just put scrubs on and is like trying to sell me this. So I always want to know who's the author. Do they have advanced degrees? Do they have professional experience, right? The other thing you see on Facebook right now, like, I'm passing this on from a friend who's a doctor. And I'm like, dude, a doctor of what? Like, I want the guy, you know, I'm kind of fond of the big guy, Fauci, whatever his name is. Like, he's been at the center of epidemiology under 5 presidents, right? He's got some long ass experience and advanced degrees, and people look towards him as an expert. So authority is a hugely important question. Sometimes you won't find it. Accuracy, that's where accuracy comes in. If you look at this source right here, it doesn't have an author. It's not like my little list of infection rates and death tolls has an author. So, but what this does have is links to where they're getting this information, right? So I can go to these different sources and say, okay, they're providing information on numbers, and they're telling me they sourced these numbers for California, from the California Department of Health. Okay, that is accuracy. Is the information supported by evidence? And is it cited? And can you find it? Right? That's what drives me nuts about the web, is people are always like saying like studies have found. And I'll tell you, as a librarian, my first question is, what study? Who did this study? How was it done? When was it done? What else did they find? So authority and accuracy are kind of, you know, hard to untangle, but you need to know who's providing this information. And if they are not an expert, they damn well better be citing experts. Otherwise, find something else. And then finally, we have point of view. Is the information objective? Is the author trying to convince you of something? Right now, people are trying to convince us we need to stay inside. And if we go outside, it should be minimal and wearing masks. But there's a bunch of other people who are saying this is all overblown. It's, you know, it's a plot from the government, you know, so, you know, we get different points of view on how we should proceed depending on what people believe. And that's how sources work, right? It's very hard to find objective information. Authors are trying to convince you of something. It doesn't have to be an evil something. They may be trying to convince you to wear a freaking mask, but they still have a point of view. My point of view is this is extremely dangerous. It's way more contagious than we ever thought. And proceed safer than sorry. That's a point of view. So I don't want you to think point of view is bad, but you need to recognize it, right? And, you know, people have agendas. You know this. So this is a criteria that the more you work with librarians, you will learn to rigorously and regularly apply it to everything. And my hope is that you don't just apply it to sources you're using for school, but you apply it to every source you're going to use to make a decision, right? Okay, sorry, let me go. So that's the CRAP test. And then, let me see, what time is it here? 3:12, okay. So let's say you've done some background reading, you have some ideas sketched out, you're ready to find answers, you have the CRAP test like burned into your brain. Where can you go for sources? And I'm going to show you a couple places. First of all, I'd be remiss if I didn't show you Google. But when I'm searching for sources, I try to be smart about Google. So let's I'm going to do a search here for managing pandemics. And I'm sure I'm going to find a lot of stuff, almost 700, oh my God, million sites. So one of the things I will recommend if you want to start seeing if you can find good sources on Google is coming right here. And if you're taking notes, you might want to write this down. I just do a Google search and then I come to settings and then I choose advanced search. And there's a couple of things here on the advanced search, a couple of features that I use frequently as a research librarian. One of them is domain limitation. I might say, hey, what do government agencies say about managing pandemics, right? So I can come here to the CDC site. This is a winter 2017. See how I'm looking for currency all the way? And I think it's really interesting to find older stuff on pandemic management to see what are the recommendations and what have we followed? How did it really play out, right? It's one thing to look at, it's super interesting to me, right? So this just talks, and look at this, 3 ways global outbreaks impact the US economy. How do we stop pandemics from spreading? Kind of interesting. And I'm just saying, because it's a government website, specifically the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, I'm going to have a much easier time crap testing this, right? It's not Joe Bob's pandemic page. It's the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. The other domain I will use, I'm going to switch it up here, is EDU. You know, what are the people at the medical school saying? What are the education, the colleges and universities talking about when it comes to managing pandemics, right? Here's something out of Harvard, managing panic. Do you see, you may not see this, but I get really excited when I see stuff like this, because I'm going to be honest, when I think about managing pandemics, when I've been talking about it for the last 3 minutes, I've been thinking more of it in terms of managing people, like stay in your damn house, you know, don't go shopping, close the businesses. I didn't even think about managing panic, managing people's emotions. This might give me another little body paragraph, right? How do we manage the physical assets, and how do we manage the economic, and how do we manage our own heads? So, again, what I've used to find these things are domain limitations, which are easily available from just doing a Google search, going to settings, and clicking on advanced search. The other secret weapon I will do often is file type PDF, because often you'll find previously published things. So here's something from the World Health Organization, right? It's the World Health Organization checklist for preparedness planning. Again, to me, that's super fascinating. This was 2005. So currency is a little dated. I think I would only be interested because, again, this gives me the idea of what should we have been doing versus what were we doing, right? That's a way to refine that topic right there. Okay, so that's my Google, okay? So it's fine to use the web, but you have to be extra careful about rigorously crap testing everything, especially when it comes to authority and accuracy. I love teaching Calm 100 classes. Speech classes are interesting because if you've taken a speech class, you have to learn how to do oral citations. So you actually have to say, according to scientists at the World Health Organization, or according to the US Center for Disease Control, it keeps you honest, it keeps you accountable, because you have to say out loud to your audience, this is where I got this. So that's really gonna stop you from saying, according to a video produced by Sexy Kitty 69, pandemics are dangerous, right? Those oral citations keep you honest, but that's always my thing with my students in my class is I'm just like, if I ask you where you got that information, are you even going to hesitate? I mean, if you're like, oh, I'm not sure, or some chick made a video, that's not going to work, right? You want it to be an expert. So be especially careful on the web, because the databases contain published information, which means it's gone through an editorial process. It means somebody's already asked, who the hell is the author here? Are we going to publish this article in our magazine? Are we going to publish the study in our journal, right? So some of that legwork has been done for you, is what you get as a benefit of using databases. So if you're going to be out on the web, it's kind of the Wild West. So be really rigorous about authority and accuracy and point of view. Our databases live on our library's webpage. This sun is killing me. Hold on, I'm going to slightly adjust here. I'm a ginger man. I'll fry out here. That's a little better. Okay. So what I want to call your attention to, a couple things. Again, if you're taking notes, this is kind of an advanced technique. So, you know, if you're taking notes, write this down. I don't often show the library catalog, but we do have over 20,000 ebooks. So one of the things you might want to do, and I'm just going to show you how to find an ebook. Obviously, the library is closed. So if you find a book that's sitting in the East Campus Library, you are SOL. You cannot get that book. However, you can come to this library catalog, which is right here. You can, I switch this to library catalog because I'm looking for books. And what's going to happen is I'm going to retrieve a list of books that the MJC library owns on pandemics. And I want to do this. I want to come over to available online. because I can't go to the library, so it has to be online. And I might even say, look, right now I just want to see if there's any good books. And there are a couple of online books here. If you can see this, you know, we've got a couple books on pandemics and global health, the Encyclopedia Pestilence, Pandemics and Plagues, Disaster Preparedness and Management, right? If any of these books look interesting to you, and let's be honest, I'm not suggesting you read an entire book to complete what's probably going to end up being a, you know, 5 to 8 page paper, whatever your word count is. But often there will be really useful chapters. You may just want to read a chapter of a book. And so this is a good time to tell you, when you are off campus and you want to use our databases, they're very expensive, and we have a contract with our database providers that say only students can use them. So if you see here, a little screen popped up asking for my W number and my 6-digit birth date. But as soon as you enter that information, you're golden, and you can get in and use all of our databases. And so what this tells me, this is a book. It's got a little description of the book here, but if I come down to the table of contents, this is where I can see the different chapters of the book, right? And check this out. Past pandemics and their outcomes. That might be a perfectly serviceable chapter for those of you looking at other pandemics to look at. There's a whole chapter just on the Spanish flu. Spanish flu is super interesting to me because apparently, I was just seeing this. I'm friends with, I follow somebody on Facebook who's a historian, and she was suggesting that people don't like to talk about the Spanish flu 1918 because apparently we didn't do very well at sheltering in place, and we kind of made a mess of it. So that's kind of interesting. Here we've got the natural history of the flu. This talks about different, and then defining the response, right? Federal, and again, I love that I can see how this is broken up. They talk about federal and international programs. They look at the local level. They look at businesses, right? So, you know, that's interesting to me. So it may just be one chapter is all I have to read. And the cool thing about our databases, you guys, is if you find a chapter, let's just pretend this is good. I don't know, this could be useless, but let's pretend like we look at this chapter and it's like, oh my God, right? Look at this. Life is a race between education and catastrophe. Quote by George Orwell. And this is a whole chapter right here. If this was something I wanted, I just want you to know that you can save chapters, and that's kind of nifty, right? You can just say, hey, I want to just save these 30 pages. This whole section is useful to me. So you can save or email just a section, which is nifty. You can print pages. Who wants to do that? Ink's expensive. But you can download it to your Google Drive. You can also cite these sources. So I just wanted you to know that's a big boon of our databases. Earlier I warned you they're not as easy to search as Google. They're not. But the payoff is authority, published sources, and they cite themselves. So I can just come here, find the MLA citation, copy it, and paste it, if this is in fact something that supports one of my body paragraphs. So that is just in a nutshell how you find ebooks. You may not find one, right? I can never spell post-apocalyptic, which you think I'd be able to because I've actually used it a lot in but no, and that's oh well, we've got the road. Sometimes you just don't find stuff, and that's okay, because one of the things I want to teach you as a researcher is not to give up. I don't want you to think like, oh, there's not a book on my topic, so I need to choose a new topic. No, there's just not an ebook here right now, and that's cool. You know, might as well try it, and then we can move on. So where we're going to move on to is articles and databases. And I'm just going to show you these. And all these databases up here are probably going to be good places for you guys, you know, depending on your topic to look. I've got a little video here. I'm not going to show it to you. I made this video that just explains how databases work. You know, it's like a 5-minute video if you're interested, if you've never used a database. But Gale eBooks is a perfectly serviceable place to start. I sell it to students as a good place for introductory questions like what are pandemics? What is The Walking Dead? See if this comes up. I'm just going to search for Walking Dead. And you can see here, I find an article, a 5-page article in Independent and Underground Classics, right? I find a 3-page article in Violence in Popular Culture, right? How many of us who've watched Walking Dead, okay, I read a lot of post-apocalyptic, so I am totally, I mean, I'm not hoarding food, but let me tell you, if you could see back here, like I planted tomatoes and I bought ammunition, and you know, it's just like not even who I am, but it's just like I am so trained from this, just like they're going to be coming to our doors, like we need food and we need protection. So I figure like this theme of violence or potential violence, I feel it as a thrum. If you've read the articles, like gun sales have skyrocketed, so it's kind of interesting, right? So there's a couple: Encyclopedia of the Zombie, The Walking Dead, and Popular Culture and Myth. There's a great 3-page article. I can click on the title of that article. It's there in its entirety. I can read those 3 pages. And if I find something, this might be a good place to start your preliminary reading, right? If I find something I like, again, I can send this article to my Google Drive. I can send it to Microsoft OneDrive. I can email it. And if I end up using it, it cites itself in MLA format. Okay. And you're going to find great articles here on pandemics, right? Just so you know. I mean, this is a little known secret. All of us research librarians, this is our favorite database. Like all of us, we just got some extra money when we closed down to buy ebooks, and unanimously we're all like, Gale eBooks. So you'll see here lots of articles on pandemics and epidemics. So Gale eBooks has you covered, okay? And then our Superstore databases right here, EBSCO and Gale, they're gonna give you a huge variety. Gale eBooks, which is the first site, I mean, the one I just showed you, that's only encyclopedias. So think of it, ebook as encyclopedia book, right? Gale databases gives you the whole shebang. They give you journal articles and magazine articles and newspaper articles. I'm really fascinated with quarantine. So that's my favorite aspect of this, is how is this affecting us? Like I said earlier, I see it affecting my students in profound ways. My daughter's sheltering in place in a studio apartment in San Francisco, and she's just having massive panic attacks. Like quarantine is not good for some of us. Remember earlier I said academic journals, scholarly sources are really hard to read. They're experts writing for experts. So they're usually studies and experiments. They can be very intimidating. And my fear for you, my fear for my students, is they go on to do a little search on pandemics and quarantine. They get an eyeful of a couple of academic journal articles that are intimidating as hell, and then they shut down their computer and say, you know, screw EBSCO host. So let me just tell you, one of the things I will do is if I do a basic search like this, pandemics and quarantine, I will come down here to source types, and I will say, why don't you just show me some magazines or newspapers? Because those are substantive sources. Those are sources aimed at a non-expert audience. I am a non-expert. So this is going to, I think, find for me articles that are a little easier to read, right? And so you might find stuff here. Difference. For me, I might even just look at quarantine. And let me just show you. Let me do this too. I'm gonna just try, gosh darn it. I'm doing a search for zombies in popular culture, something I've always been interested in. Metaphor of the living dead, or the effect of the zombie apocalypse on public policy discourse. How freaking cool is that? So if I wanted to look at that article, I just click on the PDF. That article, as if by magic, will appear in its full text entirety, right? Oh man, you know what sucks? Sorry, this happens to me all the time. This is a book review. This always happens to me. It's a pretty long, maybe it's not. No, it's not. It's not. I just saw this picture, I'm wrong. No, this is a journal article. This is awesome. So I just want to show you, you can send these to Google Drive, you can email them to yourself, you can save them, and they cite themselves in MLA format, okay? So my advice to you with the databases is to keep your searches simple, 1 or 2 words. So I showed you Gale eBooks for encyclopedias, remember ebook, encyclopedia book. I showed you EBSCO host databases. And then the last one I'm going to show you is Gale databases. Not to be confused with Gale eBooks. And let me do same search here, zombies in popular culture. And they'll have some interesting stuff here too. You can see they have magazines, they have journals, they have books, nuclear narratives, and they have newspapers, they even have videos, okay? And everything you find here, I can barely see this, I have to say. I can barely see this because of the sun. I just want to show you, I showed you Gale eBooks, so it's very much the same. Where is my zombies? If you find, this is not a great article, I just want to make sure you know everything you find here can be emailed, can be printed, okay? Can be, most importantly, cited. Speaking of citing, let me just show you that the last thing is we have a really wonderful MLA page. So if you're taking notes, you just go to the Library and Learning Center's homepage and click on, come on, click on Learn to Cite and choose MLA. I just did this with my students yesterday. We had class yesterday, and via Zoom, I made them all create an MLA template, right? So they got their, because they're doing an annotated bibliography. And we kind of went through this video, and we opened up Word, and this will tell you how to format a paper. It has a video on how to format a paper. It has sample papers if you actually want to look at a paper, if that helps you. It has, we have a great handout here on how to cite sources, namely books and websites, which would probably maybe class handouts, probably be the things that you'd be citing that for yourself because it's not a database. So lots of guidance on how to, you know, cite a web page with and without an author. We have a picture of what a works cited list looks like. And then we also have tips and tricks for in-text citation. Again, librarians can help you with anything I've talked about today. I'm just showing you this stuff also so you know that you can be self-sufficient, and there, you know, there's, if you prefer to be self-sufficient and have that prior skill, we have a lot of great resources on our webpage that'll help you. Anybody have any questions? Let me try to get down here. I want to stop sharing if I know how to do this. There we go. And Yvonne, is there anything you want me to cover that I didn't?
I don't think so. I think you talked about everything pretty much that I was thinking about.
Okay.
They started working on developing research questions last week. I think they're still working on some of those now. So we're just basically just trying to get all the research done this week with everything.
Well, let me just remind you that Ask a Librarian, it's 3:36 now. There'll be 2 librarians staffing Ask a Librarian until 7 tonight. So this is a great time, right? If you need help choosing and developing a topic, if you need help coming up with some of those research questions, if you need help finding specific sources, I urge you to just jump on to Ask Librarian. It's fast, it's free, and it works. And then tomorrow and Thursday, 9 a.m. till 7, we'll be there continuously. Friday's only 10 to 3, and then we close for the weekend. So, don't dilly-dally, because I don't want you to be left without anybody to help you, because we do love to help students.
Well, thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
That. I don't know if anybody has any questions for her. You guys can unmute yourselves if you have a question. Maria, did you have a question?
I just wanted to tell her thank you. It's a lot of information.
It
But
is.
I understood everything. I took notes, so hopefully that'll help me.
Yes, thank you, Maria.
Sorry, I did record this session too, so I'll be posting it up on Canvas so that you guys have access to
And
that.
then do remember what I said in the beginning. My goal is kind of to show you a menu. It was really important for me to know, for you to know the different ways we can help you and the different steps along the way. I know I go fast and it's a lot of information. So again, let me emphasize, Ask a Librarian. Research librarians are here to help, and don't hesitate. We're paid well. Right now,
Thank you
my
so much.
backyard. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for thanking me. And I'll see you guys maybe online at chat if there's no more questions.
All right.
Sorry, I was on mute. I'm gonna stick around on here with the rest of the students just to see if they have questions about everything for today.
Okay.
But thank you so much.
Bye, you guys.
It was very
Thanks for having me on.
No,
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
all right. How are you guys doing? Was that good information for you?
Yes, most definitely. But like I said, it's a lot of information, and she did talk very fast. And I'm glad you recorded it.
Yeah. I did kind of want to just go over one thing real quick, because I did mention to her that we do have a homework, an assignment that we're working on today, for this week. Let me just get over here. When you come to modules, I posted this. I made sure to try to get this up before class, so that way I don't know why. My computer is like super slow right now, so I don't know if you guys are experiencing that. But I have the CRAP test rubric here. That she talked about the CRAP test in her presentation. So this is an actual PDF document. So you can look at it on Canvas, or you can download it, right? I'm just going to do that real quick. Yeah, now I can't see it. Let me see. Oh, there we go. Come on, slow computer. All right, so there's the CRAP test rubric. It's the same idea here, but there's like a points that go along with it. And there are the online research logs. I'm coming down to this week. Online research log, which you guys have to complete. There is a video. I posted a video on how to complete this. If we come back up to our module, so it's the second one here, video lecture for remote learning. There's an online research log and that's supposed to be crap test video lecture. That's a video that I put together for you guys that shows how to use the crap test and how to log into the online group assignment. Basically what the online group research log group assignment is, it's a Google Doc that is shared with your group, and you guys will go on to that to fill that out. And so I'm gonna come back to modules again, because this is where you only can get to this from modules. So go to this week, and I'll send out an email just to make sure everybody is on the same page with this in case they're not here. In the online research log access by group, you can see that I've set up these. So anybody can click on them. Make sure you click on the one that's for your group, right? And when you click on that, it'll take you to the Google Doc that you will be able to edit. This assignment is meant as a means for you guys to gather sources together. And so in the video, I go over how this particular source was put together and how I put it on here. This is just an example. So if you're needing to add something to, in order for you to get points for this assignment, you would have to add about 8 to 10 sources to this document. My computer is super slow right now with sharing the screen. So you would come over here, you type in your name, you type in like the date that you searched it, you'd get the database. So you either type in the database, Gale database or EBSCOhost database, or the URL if you're searching online, the title and source, description of the source, and then the crap test rating. So again, I'm going to urge you guys to watch that video, and you can also watch that video here. I linked it here too, so if you just want to come and click on this here, that'll take you to the page with the video in order to complete the assignment. So each person in your group needs to contribute 8 to 10 sources. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's just like she said, if you are researching stuff, not everything that you will find is going to be usable for your research paper. So that's why, I say 8 to 10, because you need 3 additional sources, right, including the main article. But to get to those 3 good sources, you're gonna be rummaging through a lot of stuff. So 8 to 10 sources is what I'm asking for you guys, and then it's a 20-point assignment that I'll give you guys points for. And so Gulam said upload on Canvas. It is on Canvas, so I just showed you guys that. And if you have any individual questions about that, let me know, and I can I can help you guys with that. Okay, does anybody have any questions?
Yes, I have a question. For the one that you just showed us, it's a shared document within the group, right?
It's a shareable link on that page, so anybody actually in the whole class can go and click on the link for it. But I want you to make sure you click on the link for your group specifically that has your name on it, and you can go into that document and edit the document. So anybody in your group would be able to do that.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Okay. Any other questions? How are you guys doing on topics? I saw that some of you guys are,
Yeah. When is it due?
this is for this week. So this
Okay.
is like you guys are working on research this week. That's what you should be doing. So if you have not gone on to your group discussion, hearing a lot of, make sure you mute you guys yourselves. If you have not gone on to your group discussion board to talk about your questions, your research questions, do that please, because I need you guys to be able to come up with stuff that you need to research. And I've been going on there as well. Oh my gosh, why are you doing that? Okay, sorry, something popped up on my screen. I've been going on there and responding to you guys as well. So this is an interactive discussion. I know that a lot of you guys were working on other things, so just make sure that you're doing that. And then, so developing research question discussion board and the online research log is what you guys have to work on. We have not gotten to a rough draft yet because we have to do the research, we have to do the reading, okay? So we will come back and revisit all of this on Thursday as well to see how you guys are doing, okay?
I have a question.
Yes.
So I'm in economic consequences.
Yes.
But I'm still don't know, like, am I need to specifically get a pandemic or just like general?
No, you can look at different pandemics and the economic consequences of it. So I mentioned on the prompt, I think the Black Plague and the Spanish flu, because
Yes.
those have some research to do with that. So you could look at those and then look at the current economic consequences with COVID-19. So
okay.
more of like a compare and contrast, because you're looking at a previous outbreak and looking at the economic consequences of those, and then at this one, and you know what are the economic consequences that are projected right now for this during this pandemic.
Okay. Thank you.
Gulam, this is about the research essay. We've already moved past the second essay, but I am having, there's some people that have turned in final drafts. I did do video recordings of feedback that I gave to everybody. So if you have not given me your rough draft, you can email me. I opened up the rough draft assignment just so that you could upload it there, because it's too late to do the workshop. So I will be going on there and providing you guys feedback for that rough draft if you're late with that. Okay, so try to finish it as soon as you can. At least finish the rough draft so that I can read it and give you feedback on it. I don't want you to get too far behind, because this is week 13 and we have 2 more weeks and then the finals week, which we're not having a final, I don't think. I didn't prepare for one. And so, yeah, I don't think so. I'll have to double check. I'm really wanting you guys to just work on your research papers. That's my main concern with that. So make sure that you don't fall behind on that, okay? The topic is a general topic, Gulam. So you have to find your specific interest in that topic. So I can't remember which one you are doing, if you're doing vaccination development or economic consequences, but you have to like do the research and find your specific niche, exactly what Kathleen was talking about. Okay. So yeah, so that's why it's important to read that main article that I provided on Canvas for your specific topic, and then start developing those research questions, and then yeah, and then go towards the research from there. Okay.
What about the questions that we send you? Are you gonna give us feedback about?
Yeah, I've actually been on there. I've been on all of the group's discussion boards, and I've been responding to everybody. So go back to those discussion boards. They were due last week, but it's still open. So go back to those discussion boards, and we'll chat with each other on those. Okay.
Those are the ones that you said are the first, right? And assignments or more? I think
You can find it
I
in
haven't gone.
you can find it in assignments, or you can find it in modules. So if you go to modules, it's last week. It's from last week's assignments and modules. If you go to assignments, then it's the group discussion for developing research questions. That's the specific assignment.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. I think that's it then. I will let you guys go. If anybody has a specific question, just let me know. Otherwise, I will talk to you guys on Thursday. Sorry.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too.